The last day of school. It's a day filled with excitement, the promise of summer freedom, and the sweet relief of no more homework. But for some, this day of celebration turned into a nightmare they would never forget. Today, we're diving into 3 true horror stories that all happened on the very last day of school. So lock your doors, turn down the lights, and get ready, because class is out. Forever. Our first story is called The Janitor's Secret. For 17-year-old Chloe, the last day of her junior year was bittersweet. She was excited for summer, but sad to be leaving her friends. After the final bell, she realized she'd left her yearbook in her locker. The hallways were already eerily quiet. A stark contrast to the chaotic energy just minutes before. As she walked back to her locker, a strange, rhythmic thumping sound echoed from the far end of the hall. It sounded like something heavy being dragged. Chloe froze, her heart starting to pound. She told herself it was probably just Mr. Henderson, the old janitor, cleaning up. She quickly spun her lock combination, grabbed her yearbook, and slammed the locker shut. The thumping stopped. The sudden silence was even more unnerving. Chloe started walking quickly toward the exit, her sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. Then, she heard a raspy whisper right behind her, leaving so soon. She spun around, but no one was there. The hallway was empty. Her blood ran cold. She broke into a full sprint, not daring to look back. As she burst through the double doors into the bright afternoon sun, she glanced over her shoulder. In the darkened window of the door, she saw the faint outline of a face watching her, a face that wasn't Mr. Henderson's. She never went back to get anything she left behind again. Some say a spirit roams those halls, one that doesn't like to be left alone. Next up, we have a story titled Summer Job. Liam, a high school senior, had scored the perfect summer job, caretaking a large, secluded property in the countryside. His duties were simple: water the plants, feed the cat, and make sure the house was secure. The owners were leaving for the entire summer, starting the afternoon of his last day of school. After a quick graduation party with his friends, Liam drove his beat-up truck down a long, winding gravel road to the isolated house. It was a beautiful, old Victorian home, but as dusk began to fall, it took on an ominous presence. After unpacking, he decided to do a final check of the property. The woods that bordered the backyard were thick and dark. As he was locking the back porch door, he noticed one of the motion sensor lights flicker on deep in the yard, near the tree line. He squinted, trying to see what triggered it. He saw nothing. A few minutes later, another light, closer to the house, lit up. Tenanote. It was like something was slowly making its way from the woods toward the house. Liam's heart hammered against his ribs. He quickly double-checked all the locks and retreated inside, peering out the windows. He couldn't see anything moving, but he had a terrifying, uncheckable feeling that he was being watched. Later that night, as he tried to sleep, he heard a soft scratching sound on the window of the master bedroom upstairs. Scratch, scratch, scratch. It was slow and deliberate. Liam, terrified, barricaded himself in the downstairs bathroom, armed with a heavy fireplace poker. He stayed in there until the sun came up. Wefeinard et funlon. Deep scratch marks on the outside of the second-story window, far too high for any animal to reach. He quit the job that morning, leaving a note and never looking back. The owners later told police nothing was stolen, but every single window on the second floor had been scratched. Our final story for tonight is called The Shortcut. For Maya and her best friend, Sarah, the last day of middle school meant one thing: a celebratory trip to the mall. Their usual route was to take the bus. But they were so giddy with excitement, they decided to take a shortcut through the old woods behind the school, a path they were told to avoid. The trail was overgrown and darker than they expected. The thick canopy of leaves blocking out the summer sun. At first, They laughed and joked, their voices echoing strangely in the quiet woods. About halfway through, they came across an abandoned, dilapidated shack they had never seen before. Curiosity got the better of them. Pushing open the creaky door, they were hit with a foul, musty smell. The inside was a mess of rotted furniture and trash. But on a small, dusty table in the center of the room sat a single, pristine white porcelain doll. Its painted eyes seemed to stare right at them. Sarah, a bit of a daredevil, picked it up. "Creepy," she whispered, a nervous smile on her face. Suddenly, they heard a twig snap just outside the shack. They froze, listening. Heavy footsteps began to circle the small structure. Panicked, Sarah dropped the doll, its porcelain head shattering on the floor with a sickening crack. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. Maya and Sarah held their breath, hiding behind a moldy old couch. Through a crack in the wall, Maya saw a pair of muddy, worn-out boots. The doorknob began to jiggle violently. The girls didn't wait to see who it was. They scrambled out a broken-back window, tearing their clothes on the shattered glass, and ran. They ran faster than they ever had in their lives, not stopping until they burst out of the woods and onto a busy street. They never spoke about what happened, and they never, ever took a shortcut again. And that's it for tonight's Tales of Last Day of School Horror. It just goes to show that even on the happiest of days, darkness can be lurking just around the corner. Thank you so much for watching. If you like horror stories, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more creepy content. Stay safe out there and have a good night.